want you to know that the fear of being alone and having no purpose in your life is one of the most disabling things that you'll ever experience in your life. And you need to know the answer of two questions. Who are you and what do you want? For me, I realized as a kid, there was a choice I had to make. Either believe what the world said and only believe that broken pieces are ahead for me, or believe that God loves me. It was hard. Because when God says in the Bible, I have a plan for you, I'm thinking, really? And I prayed for arms and legs. What do you want? I wanted arms and legs. It's not that difficult to believe. The God of the Bible says He has a plan for you. Do you see this timeline? I'm 8 years old, going forwards into the future. No idea what was ahead. The Bible says He has a plan. We don't see the plan, so it's kind of foolish to believe something that you can't see. But faith helps you to do that. Faith is exactly that. And faith comes when you hear the Word of God. When I heard the Word of God, I still didn't understand His love, His plan. So I prayed for a blueprint of His plan. And He didn't come back to me on that request. And when you don't hear from God, you then start to conclude what you believe. From then on, do you decide to keep on believing and waiting to see what happens and trust Him? Or do we conclude to do this? There is no God. I'm alone. There is no hope. There is no purpose. I'm getting bullied for the rest of my life. I'm never getting married. I'm never going to have kids. Never going to be happy. Man, was I wrong or what? And at age 10, I tried to end my life, but I'm still here. All I could see were broken pieces, and I had no idea that there would ever be hope for someone truly disabled. Emotionally, mentally, spiritually, physically, the whole thing. I mean, on every checkbox. I wasn't myself sometimes. I was so angry at my life. And I want you to know in your life, there will be times where you feel like you'll be on the edge. But when you look at the word disabled, D-I-S-A-B-L-E-D, when you turn your back on the lies like this, and you come to the truth will set you free. Do I look disabled to you today? No. When you put a G-O, go, walk by faith and not by sight, and you put a G-O in front of the word disabled, it spells God is able to do what? Ephesians 3:20, exceedingly abundantly more than you could ever ask, imagine, or attain. What does that mean? It actually means that God has a good plan. He never withholds any good gifts. I was 15 years old and I read John chapter 9. A man was born blind and no one knew why. Jesus was asked by everyone, why was this man born blind? Now, my doctors don't know why I was born this way. My parents don't know why I was born this way. And I want you to know that we don't have any answers for my birth defect. Jesus said this blind man was born this way because God's works are going to be revealed through him. Jesus spits on the dirt, puts mud on the face of the blind man, and there is no record of the blind man saying anything, flinching, asking anything, moving backward, nothing. Jesus performs his miracle as he is still. I realized Jesus did not sit the blind man down and say, Mr. Blind Man, my name is JC. I'm the healer. I'm about to spit in the dirt and give you a facial. And after we wipe the mud off your face, you're going to see. He didn't do that. God doesn't need to tell me his plan. I just need to be still and believe he has a plan. That's when you walk by faith. Why would you need faith if God told you everything? If I was age 8 and I prayed for arms and legs and God instead told me everything he's going to do until the age of 33, you got to be kidding me. I would die of shock. Writing books, 55 languages. If God can use a man without arms and legs to be his hands and feet, then who can God not use? Amen? He loves you, and he can do anything with your broken pieces. My parents always said, Nick, you don't know what you can achieve until you try it. And the doctors looked at me and said, he's not going to walk, he's not going to go to school, he's not going to do anything in his life. And then my parents, they just loved me like crazy and said, you got to try. Try this, try that, try this, try that. And I'm thinking sometimes like, Mom and Dad, you're crazy, man. I have no arms, no legs. How would I ever be able to do this or do that? But they encouraged me and they loved me. And as human beings, we're waiting for stuff like that. We all want love. Everybody say love. Very good. We all want love. And, I went to school and I wanted to be cool, You go to school and you want to be accepted, And so you see these guys and you're like, oh, man, everyone swears like every third sentence, F this and F that and F and this and F. Like what? Like they think they're cool, And so I'm thinking, man, maybe I need to be like them to be cool. And then you compare each other with how we look, and I wish I was smarter, I wish I was taller, I wish I was shorter, I wish I was more popular, I wish I did this, I wish I didn't have that. I wish my life was different. That was me when I was about 8 years old. I looked at myself and I looked at everybody else, and everyone else had more than me. And I'm asking, why? Why me? Have you ever asked the why me questions, but get nowhere? If I had no answers from the doctors, and if I had no answers from my parents, I still have a choice every day in my life to keep going or give up. You see this book up here? This is my favorite book in the whole wide world. This is my favorite book, the Bible. And here I am. And here I am, and for me, that's my full potential in all that I can be here on earth. And so encouragement takes me closer to all that I can be, and discouragement takes me away. You see, it only takes 3 seconds for someone to tease me when I was at school and just say, you're ugly. You can't do this and you can't do that. And some of you thinking like, man, seriously? You had kids picking on you? Like, how heartless are those kids? Picking on me with no limbs? Like, you would probably say, well, I'm not that bad. I wouldn't pick on a kid with no limbs. But why would you pick on anyone? Well, because it's fun. It's just culture. Okay, we'll get to that. But for me facing all that stuff, I'm getting these seeds. Everybody say seeds. S-E-E-D-S, seeds. Have you seen the pictures of the sequoia reds up here in California? These huge trees. Like some of the trunks could be as nearly big as this room. I've seen those photos where they've actually dug out a tunnel in a trunk of a tree. You can drive a full-size SUV right through it. That all started with a little seed. If you leave a seed of lies in your heart and in your mind and you don't know the truth, if you don't know the truth, you will die with the lie. I started dying because I started believing what I was told. I want you to know the three things that I needed to come to in my life is the truth of my value, the truth of my purpose, and the truth of my destiny. I want you to know something. In our mind, we put ourselves down all the time. I want to ask you today, do you think I'm cool enough to be your friend? But I don't swear, I don't use the F-bomb. Am I still cool enough to be your friend? But I don't tease people. Am I still cool enough to be your friend? But I have no arms, no legs. Seriously. You would be my friend even though I have no arms, no legs. So you're telling me it actually doesn't matter, right? If it actually doesn't matter for how we look, then why do we tease each other for how we look if it actually doesn't matter? Why is it that we look ourselves in the mirror and we see us, well, we're having fun. Oh yeah, man, we're just part of culture, man. There were 12 people one day teased me, taking me away from my hope. 12, 11, 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Don't worry, I won't fall off because if I did, I'll break my arm. But 12 people teased me one day, and I can put a pretty brave face on, but cry on the inside. For real. Oh, it doesn't hurt. Yeah, it hurts. There was this one bully. I became his target for 3 weeks. And every time I go by him, I was 13, he was 17. I was in my chair. I'm only 4'9" in my other chair, my old chair. He's like 6 something, so he's huge, right? So I'm looking up at him, and every time I go by him, he's like, hey, there's Nick. He has no... And you can imagine what he said. And I'm like, what's his problem, man? So I tried to avoid him, and I was so embarrassed. He would say it really loud, and everybody would be looking, and some would be laughing. I'm like, what is this guy's problem, man? So one day, after 3 weeks, I went up to him, and I said, hey. He's like, hey. I said, can you please stop it? He said, stop what? I said, stop teasing me. He said, what are you talking about? I said, every time I walk by, you say that stuff. He's like, what stuff? He didn't know how to take me on. So I'm looking at him and said, nah, man. Every time I walk by, you say exactly this, and I want you to stop. I forgive you, but stop it. He's like, oh, is that hurting you? Now, I could have said, nah. Or I could have said, yeah. It takes a level of humility to actually say, actually, I don't like that. It's killing me. And I said, yeah, it's hurting me. He said, all right, I'm sorry, man. I was just, playing around. He said, give me a hug. He said, what? I said, give me a hug. He was like, all right. So I gave him a hug. I'm a hugging machine. We made the Guinness Book of World Records. 1,749 hugs in 1 year. We did it last year. My arms fell off, all right? The scary thing about hugging so many people is that anyone can just pick me up and take me home, all right? Like, what am I gonna do? Like, eat them or something? Like, pretty mean headbutt, right? I want you to know that you might be playing around. I could pretty much say that 98% of you have teased someone in your life. I tried to commit suicide because of people who thought they were having fun, not knowing the hell that I was going through. The people you're teasing, what if the person you're teasing is the person who's thinking of committing suicide?
What if the person you're teasing is the one who's tried to commit suicide, who hates their life because of you? You don't know if the person you are teasing is the son or daughter of a drunk at home getting abused. And all they need is someone like you to keep on pushing them this way. We need hope. So find something else to do. Find positive things in your own life. I don't care about how you look. I will never, ever, ever tease you. I will never tease you. I could tease you. I could be tough. People thinking that bullying is tough. It ain't tough. My wheelchair, this is tough. This thing, man. I'll tell you something. Ready? This wheelchair. This thing's so tough. When my friend built this for me, he said, "You're gonna love it." I said, "What, does it go fast?" He said, "No, but it's tough." And I said, "Well, what do you mean?" He said, "You'll find out." The torque in these motors at the bottom, at the back, this thing, if someone's holding it, I'm telling you, it can go 90 degrees. I went 80 degrees up, all right? Someone's holding me to make sure I don't tip back. My wife, she loves shopping with me because she just jumps on the back and we go shopping. Like, she just shops and shops because she doesn't drop, right? We just go and do it. It's fun. Now, what I tried one day to do, you'll never believe me, maybe you will, just know that every word that comes out of my mouth is not an exaggeration. One day, I needed to move a car. So I got my wife to put my car, my 66 Chevelle, in neutral. It's a 2.5-ton car. And I backed it back with this thing. Just like this, like nothing. This thing is tough. Guess what? The definition of tough means it's strong. To show your strength, you need to do something that's difficult. I would sound so stupid if I said, "Hey guys, I got a Matchbox car one day and I got some fishing line and I towed that Matchbox car all around all day. How tough is my BMW?" That's stupid. That's the same thing with bullying. You think you're tough? You're trying to show your strength? That's not your strength. Let me come back in 10 years and let me get your anyone have a 3-year-old nephew? Anybody have a 3-year-old nephew? Cool, put your hands down. I will get any one of your 3-year-old nephews, bring them tomorrow night at where I'm speaking, and we're going to put him up on stage, and let me show you how tough I am. We'll get your 3-year-old nephew, and we'll put him up here on the table, and let me tease him. Let me show you how tough I am. That's what you are. I could pick on you, you biggest bullies. I could pick on anything you like. Any singer, any music that you like, I could tease you. I could tease your family. I could tease your friends. I could tease about the movies that you think are really cool. I could tease anything about you. I could tease you about your nose, your eyes, your teeth, your chin, your hair, your ears, your elbows, your knees, your whatever, man. I can tease you about anything. It ain't hard, just like you can tease me. You want to know what tough is? Go to the people you teased and say sorry. You want to know what tough is? Go up to the people who still tease you and say, "Hey, stop it. I forgive you, but please stop it." That's tough. I want you to know something, the truth of who you are. I don't care what job you get. I don't care. I don't care how smart you are, everyone. I don't care. I don't care. I love you and I believe in you. I don't care if you end up being a janitor in this school. I'll tell you why. Because the janitor in my high school inspired me to be a speaker. He changed my life. He said, "You should be a speaker." You know what I said? "You're crazy." He said, "No, really, you need to be a speaker." I said, "Stop it, man." 4 months later, he twisted my arm, and I said, "Yes." I spoke in front of 10 people. Then another 10, then another 10. Then I found myself in front of 300 sophomore students. And 3 minutes into my speech, half the girls were crying. And one girl in the middle of the room started weeping. And she put up her hand and she said, "I'm so sorry. Can I come up there and give you a hug?" And in front of everybody, she came up and she hugged me and she cried on my shoulder. And she whispered in this ear, "Thank you, thank you, thank you. No one's ever told me that they love me. No one's ever told me that I'm beautiful the way that I am." It was because my parents told me that I was beautiful that I'm still here. Some of you don't have those parents, and that's why I'm here. I love you, and you're beautiful just the way you are. Never, ever give up. How many schools do you think that I spoke to actually stopped bullying altogether? Okay. Whoever said one, you were correct. One school out of 600, I got a letter from the headmaster, and he said, "Nick, you forever changed our school, blah, blah, blah. We haven't seen any bullies pick on anybody for 8 months straight. We don't know what happened, but in the best words that I can describe, there's just a new thought in the air that it just ain't cool anymore. It just ain't cool." I want to ask you, what are you going to do? Are you going to continue on at the risk of knowing that in each section, this section right here, 5 people already trying to commit suicide? That section there, 5 people. When you extrapolate it out, what if the person you're teasing is one of those, and you have no idea? Would you find something else to do? So, the change is up to you. If you want to see more love in your school, be love. If 50% of the school come together and say, "You know what, it just ain't cool anymore," the people who think it's still cool, every time they look down upon you, I want you to imagine my face looking at you. Because I'm telling you, everyone you're teasing is my brother and my sister. And you're my brother and you're my sister. And I'm asking you to stop. Love yourself a bit more. Love each other. The first thing I want you to take away from today is this: you will have good days and you'll have bad days, but you will always learn something more or something new, and you will learn more overall on bad days than good days. You will learn more about yourself, you'll learn more about relationships, you'll learn about life and principles, and it'll build your character. If you're a person who wants, let's say, improve on your character of patience, let's say, don't complain when you're waiting in a line. You ain't going to grow in patience until you're put in a place to wait. It's like you go into a gym and, you walk in through the front doors and, you tell your wife or your husband, "I'm going to the gym." You go into the gym and you come in 3 feet and you do a U-turn and you ride out, "I went to the gym." Ain't gonna do nothing. You gotta go in there. What are you gonna do? You gotta pick up the weights. And you exercise the muscles that you want to build. I stand before you without arms and legs, but a very strong man because of the bad days in my life. You know how it is. If you didn't go what you've gone through, you wouldn't be who you are today. And I'm not belittling your pain, and don't worry, I've seen pain in my life, and I've seen not only in my life, but people's lives, and people say, well, at least I have no arms, no legs, and then what am I supposed to say? Well, at least I'm not an African orphan who's dying at 4 years old, and I met that person. What about the 10-year-old girl that was bought for $700 in Mumbai and kidnapped as a sex slave to have 350 clients before the age of 13, pregnant at 12, put the baby under the bed while she works on top, abandoned by her family? After she pays her debt of $700 after 3 years with her child, she leaves on the streets of Mumbai hoping for a new life. No family, no job, no food. Her baby needs food. She gets raped, beaten up on the street. She comes back to the only way that she knows how to make money. She goes back to the brothels. She gets pregnant at 15 the second time, and then that child dies, and at 20 years old, she comes up to me. Yes, I have met this woman. She comes up crying. She says, Nick, I just found out I got HIV/AIDS. And I got fined for being a prostitute. What do you say to that? You may have arms and legs, but unless you know 3 things. Number 1, who are you and what your value is? Number 2, what is your purpose here in life? And number 3, what is your destiny when you're done here? If you don't know the answers of any of those 3 questions, you're more disabled than I.
I want to talk about like when I started, going to school and stuff. A lot of people put me down, you know what I mean? Like, people tease each other. I mean, people come up and say, hey, you're fat, 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 you lose some weight, and you go home and you look at yourself in the mirror and go, I'm fat, right? And so many people tease each other. Oh, you're too short, you're too tall, you look whatever. Different hair and all that. It doesn't matter. See, the thing is, when you're in school, when you're growing up in life, it actually sort of matters to people how you look. And then it matters to you because it matters to others. Why? Why does it matter how you look? Because if they don't like you, then who will? If they don't accept you, then who will? And the fear that we have is that we're going to be alone, that we're not good enough. And, we have to change ourselves. And, so many people put me down and say, Nick, you look too weird and no one's really your friend and you can't do this and you can't do that. And I couldn't change anything. It's not like just fixing my hair one day and everything's fine. It's not like, just whatever. I couldn't change my circumstance. I couldn't just one day wake up and say, hey, give me arms and legs. I need arms and legs. You know what I mean? Like, I went to a bodybuilder, and said, can you make me some arms and legs? No joking. Bodybuilder, you get it? Right? So this is the thing. I go up to people, can you give me a hand? Just joking. But it was so hard because people put me down. And I started believing that I was not good enough. I started believing that I was a failure. That I'd never ever be somebody who people would like or people would accept. And it was so hard, man. I thought to myself, I can't go on the soccer field like everybody else, and I can't ride my bike, and I can't skateboard, and all these sort of things. And I started getting depressed. I thought, what kind of purpose do I have to live? I mean, are you just here to live to die? I mean, is there not a purpose for me? Is there not a purpose in life? And I had questions and no answers. And I asked my mum and dad, why did this happen? I asked doctors, why did this happen? And they don't know. There are some things in life that are out of your control that you can't change and you got to live with. The choice that we have, though, is either to give up or keep on going. I want to ask you, what are you going to believe? Are you going to believe in yourself? Are you going to believe everybody else's judgment on you? Are you going to believe people when they say that you're a failure? When no one really likes you, no one really cares about you. And it's not really to say that, hey, you need someone to come up and say, hey, really, I like you, I care about you. No, it's not that, but it's the fact that people put you down. People don't even look you in the eye. People ask you how you are, and you say fine, but you're not fine, and they'll never know that. I tell you, life is interesting. Life's a journey. See this phone here? Let's say that I want to go to the phone, right? And I start from over here. Now, to get to the phone, it's not like I'm going to start meditating and going hum, right? And float across the air, right? It's not going to work. It's not like I'm going to go hum and woo, You know, it's not going to work. So I have to take one step at a time, one step at a time, one step at a time. You can only take one step at a time. I don't care how big your step is, it's only one step at a time. You can't do 2 steps in one. You understand? So it's like one step at a time. And you take steps in this direction, you take steps in that direction. You sort of get lost along the way, and sometimes you fall down. Now, to illustrate my point, I'm going to jump off the table, do a back twist, and land on the floor. Okay? Is that cool? Are you ready? Oh, there's a clock there? Okay, can you move the clock for a second, please? Beautiful, beautiful. All right. You ready? So, are you guys ready? Just let me know when you're ready. Are you ready? Okay, ready? 1, 2. I'm joking, man. Are you serious? Just put the clock back there. If I did that, I'll break my arm or something. You know what I mean? But honestly, along the way, you might fall down like this. Ready? Right? Hello! Right. So what do you do when you fall down? Get back up. Everybody knows to get back up, because if I start walking, I'm not going to get anywhere. But I tell you, there are some times in life where you fall down and you feel like you don't have the strength to get back up. You sort of put a mask on your face when you come to school and pretend that everything's okay when it's not, and you go home and lay in your bed when no one's looking at you, when you don't have to impress anybody, and you're yourself. And fear comes in. You know the fear that you have as soon as you walk into the doors of your house. Maybe there's a broken home. Maybe you have doubt in your life. Maybe you don't know for sure what's going to be happening in the future, and it scares you. Maybe you're worried about what people think of you, what people say about you. Just that fear paralyzes you. And I just want to ask you today, do you think you have hope? Because I tell you, I'm down here, face down, and I have no arms, no legs. It should be impossible for me to get back up. I mean, you go home and tie the legs and arms of your brothers and sisters and like push them down and see how long it's going to take them to get back up. You know what I mean? You know, you can tell them that you'll see them tomorrow. You know what I mean? But this is the thing. It should be impossible for me to get back up, but it's not. You see, I will try 100 times to get up, and if I fail 100 times, if I fail and I give up, do you think that I'm ever going to get up? No. But if I fail, I try again and again and again. For as long as I try, there's always that chance of getting up. Does that make sense? And it's not the end until you've given up. And just the fact that you're here should persuade you that you have another chance to get back up. There's still hope. I'm not here today to tell you that I understand your pain. I don't know how it feels to be abused. I don't know how it feels to feel, quote, fat and you've got an eating disorder. I don't know how it feels to have a broken home. I don't know how it feels. But I know how it feels to have a broken heart. And I know how it feels to be alone. And I want you to know that I found my strength in Jesus Christ, and you're going to find your strength in whatever you find it in. But I just want you to know that it's not the end. It matters how you're going to finish. Are you going to finish strong? And you will find that strength to get back up like this. How did I get from depressed to who I am today? Because I tell you, I was depressed. When I was age 8, I used to concentrate on the things I didn't have. I wish I had arms and legs, and I wish I could do this, but what can I do? You see, I have a choice, and that's what I want to talk about today, choices. I can either be angry for not having arms and legs or be thankful for my chicken drumstick. And you see, I can still do a lot of things. At home, I can brush my teeth, comb my hair, get myself ready in the morning. And I'm traveling around the world. It's amazing. But I had to ask myself a couple questions. And the first question was really, who am I? Who am I? I'm Nick Vujicic, but who is that? And it's funny how the friends around you sort of determine who you are. You change yourself. You come to school. And everybody swore around me at high school, so I started swearing. Why? Because it's the cool thing to do. Everybody swears. So I don't want to be left out. And I want to be accepted, so I started swearing. You go to a party, everybody's drinking, so you drink. Why? Well, everybody else around me is doing a big deal. And you start losing yourself, and you start putting your security in temporary things. You start putting your happiness in things that won't last. You can get drunk all you like, but in the morning, you're going to be sober with a headache with the same problems. You want to be high the rest of your life on drugs? Everybody say, don't do drugs, don't do drugs. Well, why? Why do we even go there? It's either out of curiosity, peer pressure, or trying to escape reality. Basically, three things. That's why we go to drugs. That's how we're doing it. I mean, if you want something, you go get it. You want to buy something, you save up money, you go get it. Why? Because that will make you happy. And we take these steps in the wrong direction that will actually take you away from your dreams. Oh, don't worry, Nick. Drugs and alcohol won't take me away from my dreams and my purpose and sex and all that. No. But I tell you, it actually will. Because you go to a level of drinking and you go to a level of drugs and it's not enough. You'll find that out. And then you try something new. And then you'll also go to school and people... That's how it is in my life. You see, there's nothing good about having no arms, no legs, is there? No. If I, click my fingers, metaphorically speaking, and your arms and legs disappeared, do you think you'd be happy with me? No, you'd come run after me and headbutt me, okay? Because there's nothing good about having no limbs. But I love my life. Do you want to know why? Because I've seen the purpose. Because I have no arms, no legs, you're all listening to what I have to say. This is maybe the most attentive you've been in any guest speaker. And what you're going through, but today I've come here so you would remember my smile.